From the studios of KENW on the campus of Eastern New Mexico University, it's You Should Know, featuring the people and events of Eastern New Mexico and West Texas.
I'm here now with Greg Waggoner, and Greg is our new athletic director at Eastern New Mexico University. And Greg, how are things going? You just got here, you're getting started. What do you think so far?
Fantastic. You know, I started June 1. I was very fortunate to have an opportunity to work with Dr. Geiser for 2-3 weeks before he left for good, and that was very helpful. And since that time, it's been a very fast-paced environment with a lot of new things, the stadium and a few other things. And so, but I've got great people helping me and pointing in the right direction, not only in my department, but across campus. So the community has been very warm and embracing to myself and my wife, and everything is going very well. It's been a good couple of months.
Well, that's great. You mentioned the new stadium. That is really, complicating things for everybody, but it's also exciting for everybody. We all wonder where we're going to park. We all wonder how we're going to get tickets, those kinds of things. So how if I wanted a ticket for the first game in that stadium, what do I have to do?
Well, right now you can go onto our website and at www.goeasternathletics.com, and immediately a splash page will come up, and it'll talk about tickets and take you directly to the ticket page, or you can go into the regular website and hit the ticket tab, and it'll explain all of what you need to know in terms of joining Greyhound Club, which is a whole nother link on the website as well. But season tickets, reserved season tickets for football, which include the seat backs, the general admission season tickets, single game prices, all of that is explained, and the pricing structure, as well as volleyball. And, change is an interesting animal in that change is exciting, and certainly that stadium's exciting. It's a platform that provides a lot. Change also causes a little bit of anxiety sometimes and unknown, and so we did our best to try to get honed in on the kinds of things we needed to do to adapt some things from what was done at Blackwater to what will be done there. And with a new athletic director coming in and part of that mix, took us a little while to get there, but I think we've got it figured out in terms of all of that. You've got a lot of things that intersect. Corporate partnerships, now video board sponsors, and what comes with that, and what we're going to do different with signage than Blackwater. So that all also intersected with the season ticket part of it. And you can get all the information you need right there, but probably the main change is that in the past, as I understand it, you could buy a reserved football seatback season ticket, and you did not have to be a Greyhound Club member, although most of them were. Most of the people that bought those season tickets were. As of this year, for football, you also have to be a Greyhound Club member. And at certain levels, you get a couple of those seats, so you don't even have to buy them because it comes with your membership. But you have to be at least at the minimum level a Greyhound Club member to be able to purchase a reserved seatback football season ticket. That's probably the biggest change. Also, kind of the arrangement of the seats. That took us a while to figure out, too, because we had some new ones coming in addition to what were constructed in the stadium. And we wanted to make sure what we were assigning and aisles and row numbers and sections were what we needed. But we've got all that figured out, I think, and the good people in our office did a great job of doing all that and guiding me the right direction. So I think we've got all that, and that's where they can get all the information. They can call the athletic office and talk to Karen and or show up in Greyhound Arena at the athletic office, and obviously they can get their season tickets in that manner too. The one other thing that we did is this year the season tickets, the academic year 2015 and 2016 Greyhound Club members have first shot at purchasing and selecting their season tickets until August 1st, which is just coming up Monday.
Yeah.
And so then after August 1st, it's open to anyone to come in and select and purchase, as long as they still join the Greyhound Club for 16-17. So those are sort of the nuances and the main changes. They're $75 a piece. If you need to buy them above your Greyhound Club level or your corporate sponsorship level for additional tickets, that's what the cost is. But 6 home games this year, so I think you're going to get a value pack, great stadium, and it's very exciting.
Very good. What is the capacity of the new stadium?
About 4,000.
Wow. Okay.
Now it has been designed where additional seating can be added and constructed. That would be a good problem to have within the next 2 to 3 years. I certainly think for the first home game, which is September 10th against Western New Mexico, and will be the dedication of the stadium, I think we're going to be more than pushing that capacity. So we're very excited for that.
I like the new artificial surface. Talk to me about artificial surfaces for a while. Did you have one at Western Colorado State University?
We did not. We probably had one of the best natural turf fields in the country, really. A grounds crew did a great job, and the summer and fall weather there was very conducive to that. But we did not have synthetic surface. Synthetic surface has come a long way since when it first came out.
Yes.
Way back when it was basically a thin carpet on some concrete, and the kind you have now, it's got this pulverized small rubber granules that hold together these. It's basically synthetic grass, but it's like a soil, and it's more like a soil feel, and that turf. It's got drainage under it. It's got some different things that provide that feel. It is a little different feel, and probably one of the differences is that it's hotter out there under the sun than soil, that synthetic surface. But a lot of people like it better. From what research I've done on it in my past life as an athletic director, the amount of time and energy and fertilizer and grooming and watering that you do on a natural turf field, a synthetic surface within a couple of cycles will more than pay for itself. It's got some qualities to it that I believe are more sustainable. That's one of the things that's I think that at least the manufacturers sell on it. But for the cost to put in a turf field, depending on how much you use it, they normally last, from what I understand, between 8 and 12 years, and you have to kind of do it. And as you're heading into the second cycle, especially, between man hours and labor, painting, because the turf is already lined for football, soccer, whatever. All of those kind of things that you save, you're basically saving funds in that respect. Certainly, it's less affected by weather, in terms of weather or rain. You don't beat it down over the season, and kind of like natural turf can get sort of hard and compacted, and maybe some dirt spots, and can turn into mud spots depending on the weather. There's things like that make it more consistent. You can have a lot more, especially if you have lights, you can have a lot more traffic going across it with all your sport teams. There's lots of advantages of that nature to an artificial or synthetic turf field.
Okay, well, you mentioned other sports. Let's talk about it. It is a multi-purpose stadium, and what are the other sports that are going to be there for people to see from those seats?
Well, there'll be soccer that takes place in there, and there will be track and field. With the stadium is a new regulation track, and our track program hasn't had one of those, from what I understand, in a long time, and yet I know that they've done much better in recent years, and so very deserving. They're going to have a nice facility to train on, a nice facility to compete on. We're going to be able to host meets. That's going to be good for the economy in Portales, and to bring those kind of people, as will the stadium. Just more people are going to be coming into town, eating in town, staying in town. I think all of that should have a direct effect on the economy and the synergy, certainly with campus and the students being right there. All of that's going to create a synergy. But getting back to your question, the track is going to be very exciting. There's thoughts of, certainly there's going to be high school meets there as well, and high school track, which affects our economy. And it brings customers onto our campus that are between the high school football games and the high school track and whatnot will be there. These are future customers, potential customers for Eastern. So there's a lot of advantages in that sense that this stadium will also bring. And so, obviously there'll be some other uses as we go along. I know that we have a new stadium director in Draco Miller, and he's been very busy doing a great job of getting all that together and the scheduling. And it's packed between practices and requests for this and that, because the other significant group that is going to be practicing on there regularly and performing on there regularly is our marching band. And I can't wait to see them. I've heard great things about them and the work that Dustin Seifert does. So it's going to be a very well-used facility.
That's a good thing to mention. People are not only going to see a great football game, but they're going to see a really fine band.
It's going to be a great overall game day performance, I think, and experience, and especially the first grand opening. There's just a lot of things planned for that, and you're right. The band, I think the atmosphere that a great marching band brings to a game day atmosphere is just, it's spectacular.
Very good. Let's talk for a minute about the NCAA. You're really involved with that, and I know that an athletic director has to be. A lot of people think, oh, well, you sign a paper and you send them off a few letters and everything's fine, and those kinds of things. But what sort of interactivity will you have to have with the NCAA in order to complete your job? What kinds of things do you do? I want people to know that.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the simple version of it is the NCAA is a member organization. It started by Teddy Roosevelt in the early 1900s. It's made up of membership that drives what they do and how they govern over the members. For one thing, they sanction the championship, so you win an NCAA championship, and that's makes sense. But there's a whole lot more that goes on there in serving its members, and it's in theory very membership driven, but it's got a very large staff and president and vice presidents, and it's a huge staff, huge building in Indianapolis that is there to, in theory, serve the membership, but in reality it also drives some policy. And it's sort of a combination in actual practice. But the member organization then decides what it, nobody has to be a member of the NCAA. Now, it'd be difficult not to, because if you're going to have a collegiate athletic program, and unless you're a member of the NAIA, which is not quite the status of NCAA or something like that, you have to have, it's the reason for conferences. You have kind of like members of a conference competing for a conference championship with similar rules, and they're going to adopt the overall NCAA rules, and they may have some other rules that the Lone Star Conference has amongst itself. It's a voluntary organization in which people agree to these rules. It's much like the NFL in which they have salary caps things and all those things that they try to put in place for the good of the whole. And so it's an interesting thing with sport in that you're competing hard to get an edge on your opponent every day and win and beat them and be better than them. And at the same time, you're making rules that allow for more parity and some rules. And so within the NCAA, one of the main ones is that they are students. They're not professionals. So they're going to college. They're enrolled in a certain number of classes. They're doing progress toward a degree, things of that nature to be able to practice and compete. And, they have to meet initial freshman eligibility, some things of that nature. And so, you know, the bylaws and the manual on that thing is, you know, they're that thick, they're huge. And so to comply with all that, you have a lot of reporting, you have a lot of monitoring. So you have to have enough staffing and a compliance officer to take place. They also look at, this is not just, you know, the athletic director and she's staff that are responsible, and, you know, over here's the rest of the university. They look at this, you know, the NCAA is presidential led. That means presidents of member institutions. Same thing with the conference. And so they look at it as an institutional commitment. And within that, then, for instance, you have a lot of interaction with other people that are also involved in that process, from registrars to academic advising to a faculty athletic rep to a financial aid to admissions, to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do in terms of the NCAA. And so it's a collaboration that way as well. And so it's pretty in-depth and pretty intricate, more than just going for an NCAA championship. That's the fun part. That's what, you know, that experience, we look at it as this is an educational process for the student athletes. Yeah, we're trying to win championships. That's a very important part. Our fans want us to compete. That's what drives a lot of that. But at the end of the day, it's the educational development of those student athletes and eventual graduation of them with a college degree, and their development as a person as well. Highly competitive intercollegiate athletics is a process that can facilitate that in a unique way, and that's why I'm in the business, and that's why I think most of us are in that business. And the interaction with the NCAA and committees and participation, new legislation, all those things, it gets fairly intricate. We have to not get so caught up in that we forget we're here for these student athletes to have this kind of a development process. And as long as we keep focus on that, the rest can take care of itself.
Very good. So your philosophy is to make sure that these athletes that come here finish their degree, if that's possible. No school does it at 100%. Different schools have different missions. Some serve populations and demographics that statistically might be more first generation, or in some ways, some might say a higher risk. I think to the extent that we're able to do that within also serving our populations and our mission of our institution, that is what we're all about. The athletic department should be about also serving the mission of the institution, and we're a component of that. And those part of what I've enjoyed as an educator most of my career is working with perhaps some of the more at-risk populations and some demographics that perhaps are first generation and things of that. I was a first generation athlete, and I know what it did for me, and some mentors did. I hope, in my coaching days, I worked a lot with them, and as an athletic director, I feel compelled to do that. Consequently, you have some unusual and very rewarding victories out of that, and there's going to be statistically some areas where maybe you didn't do as well as you had hoped, at least on the surface in a simple metric of measurement. But that is what we're trying to do, is move them along and get a college degree and develop as people and obtain some hardware. We want to work to get some championships, and it's all interwoven, in my opinion. Great. Let's talk about recruitment. You mentioned that we would be bringing other high school groups in here because of the new stadium, and it gives them a chance to come and see the campus, these kinds of things. But some people don't realize how really important recruiting is for a university this size or any side, Notre Dame, it doesn't matter. Recruiting is very important. How do you feel about our recruitment? Are we going to be doing okay? Have you had a chance to look at our situation in that term?
Yeah, I think kind of starting at the top. It's a great question. Starting at the top, the university has I think I was told this could be the 20th straight year for at least some, albeit modest, enrollment increase in some years. That is a phenomenal record. It is. I don't know how many colleges, universities in the country can say that. I think that's just remarkable, and I think it's a reflection of the leadership at the university and the emphasis. And from the sense that I've gathered, and it's part of what really impressed me here, is that you create a culture, and I think President Gamble's created a culture that recruitment and retention, because re-recruiting a student is part of recruiting, keeping them here, right?
Yes.
And that's true with an athlete too on your team. You want continuity. If you have continuity, you can develop them and become much better. And so with the whole campus is sort of in charge of recruiting. You know, it's not that person's job, but not my job. It's all of our job. And that culture is very evident, and it's one of the reasons it works. When you have recruiting growth like that, you have a better financial stability, and that doesn't do this as much with the ebb and flow of the state budget and things like that. It can offset that, and that allows for more stability of a university, and all of that is evident with the practices that have taken place here. So as that relates to the entire university, there's all sorts of dimensions, all kinds of academic majors and other activities besides athletics. There's band, and there's communications and drama. There's all sorts of things in campus life, and it's that collective whole together and how they interact with each other that makes up a university. And the more you have sort of that on-campus synergy, what this stadium is going to really enhance. The more vibrant that student life is, the more you can recruit and retain. Facilities, and I understand that Dr. Gamble and Scott Smart and the good people here have done, Ted Fairs have done a great job with renovating facilities. And now the library's up. Those things are brick and mortar. A college is really its people, and in my opinion, but the brick and mortar is critical for these people to do their job. It also has an appeal to a young potential recruit. They look at something and they see a little wow in a facility, in an update and modern. It makes a difference in their whole perception of a university. And to be quite honest with you, that is true more of today's 18-year-olds than it was 20 years ago, by far. And some of us, if we're a little old school, might think, come on, so what if it's got a bell and a whistle, by golly, you just do this. And we are going to preach that blue-collar attitude, but at the same time, the reality of it is that is a lot how youth makes their decisions today. And that's even more, so stadiums will make a statement. That stadium makes a statement to all students that see it, not just those that are going to be doing athletics at Eastern or somewhere in college. It has that kind of statement about a brand identity to a university, in my opinion. I think that the other part of that is with high quality athletes that are being recruited by a number of other college universities. Those kind of things really make a difference. A nice team room, locker room, a stadium, some of that it's got a little pow to it. It does make a difference in our recruiting. And so those are things that are going to be enhanced by all that. Those are things of what are already strong here. And those are things that we need to continue, because in intercollegiate athletics especially, nobody's standing still. And so to stay ahead, that we have some constant things we've got to do to upgrade those things that help attract high-quality athletes here to help us be more competitive. And also, and I'll transition to this just real quickly, when with recruiting, you're trying to recruit quality coaches. You're trying to recruit and retain quality staff. And the more that has continuity, then the more successful you're going to be. And the more that happens, the better the impact and the better the experience the student athletes have that they carry with them for the rest of their life, and how they see Eastern and how they see other places and their experience. Those are the people that have cultivated correctly 5, 10, 40 years down the road are given the big check to build that stadium and are coming back for homecoming and are loving us in ways that don't have to necessarily be by money, and that are going out and doing well in the world and being, that's an ambassador for us. Look at our graduate. And so the better their experience, then it still comes back to the student athlete experience, right?
Very good.
So continuity of the coaches and recruiting them is part of all that mix as well.
Okay, well, we're going to have to wrap this up, and I'm sorry about that. But let's give them the website one more time. And this is where they can, if they want to come to that very important first game in that new stadium, this is where they can find out.
Go to our website at goeasternathletics.com. And there'll be a splash page come up that you can click on. It'll take you directly to the ticket page, or you can go directly into the website, click on the ticket tab, and it'll tell you all about how to buy season tickets for football, for all of our sports. If you want to learn more about the Greyhound Club, there's a tab back on the main page for that as well. And we're going to have a big first grand opening, so we hope to see a lot of people there. Look for news coming out on it. Get there early. And with all the new changes and that type of thing.
Okay, well, it sounds wonderful, and I want to just one last time mention that you mentioned other sports. There are a lot of great sports, a lot of good times for the people who like to watch sports right here in eastern New Mexico, and that's great.
There are, and we hope to see you there. Don't forget our cross-country team, our volleyball team. You can get season tickets on there for volleyball and soccer. We'll be playing this fall as well, and of course, as the season goes along, a lot of other sports. So, yeah, we want to see you out there supporting all of them. I think you can expect our volleyball team to be very competitive this fall as well. So we're excited.
Well, as an alumni, let me wish you really good luck this year.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me on.
You're certainly welcome.